It's Thursday, April 14th, 2022. You're listening to The Upshot, and a major championship has arrived. Yes, indeed, the Champions Cup begins this weekend at W.R. Jackson in Appling, Georgia, at the home of the PDGA, and we can't wait to break it all down for you here in our preview show. I'm Charlie Eisenhood, alongside Josh Mansfield. Josh, I know it's not Worlds. I know it's not USDGC, whatever. Pick your favorite tournament. Pick your favorite major. But I'm still incredibly excited to have a major championship on the line in April. This is basically unprecedented in modern disc golf anyway. I'm sure there's been at some point a major at this time of year, but for the most part, we have to wait until the summertime to have a major competed for. And finally, we're just doing the logical thing that all other individual sports do and having a nice geographical and chronological spread of our major championships. Are you excited?
I am, Charlie. You can feel the hype a little bit. I mean, I'm antsy for this tournament. I'm ready to watch it. It's going to be a tournament that I think really delivers, at least I imagine it will. It's delivering on the hype that comes around with having this fourth major. It's really easy to get caught up in the excitement of having that major itself and about what that does for the sport. And as you mentioned, the larger implications of how that structures our tour. But I really think that when we get down to the individual golf, people are going to realize major golf is just better.
It's just better. 4 rounds, an M on the line, and a lot of players still hunting for their first ever major. We're going to get into all of the data and the details. We're going to make our picks. We've got 3 over-unders for you today. And so a fun show coming up. Before we jump into Champions Cup talk, we are going to do a quick Inside the Circle segment so we can just catch up on some other news going on around the sport. Josh, take it away.
I know it's unusual to do it first, but we got to get to it before we do Champions Cup. First up, Disc Golf Pro Tour is going to be launching a concert series at 6 of their events. This is going to be headlined, 3 of them will be headlined by Corey Wong and his band Corey and the Wong Notes. This is designed, and Corey Wong has also been named the director of music for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, though he is not an employee. This is designed to kind of create an event, an atmosphere that really is designed to bring in people who aren't disc golfers. The concert will be open to anybody. Tickets will be able to be purchased by anybody. There will be discounts for those who have already purchased spectator passes to attend the disc golf event, though. I think this is a great idea. We've talked about needing to get in people and get them excited for more than just championship round golf. I think this is a great way to continue to sell out early round spectator passes and get outside and general community buy-in into these events.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, the disc golf has an interesting situation right now where there's the sport has some leverage with actual famous people who like disc golf to do cool things, like the Celebrity Pro-Am last year. And now we have Corey Wong, who was on the Jomez video, kind of playing around and then jamming with a bunch of top professionals. And check that out if you haven't seen it. It's very cool. I have seen some people be like, why is the Pro Tour spending money on this instead of fattening the purses for the players? I'm like, hang on a minute. Do you know how you're going to be able to pay the players more? You have to get people excited about going and buying a ticket to these kinds of events. Assuming that the Pro Tour isn't doing something stupid like paying Corey Wong an egregious amount of money, then I think this is the exact right thing. It can't just be about the disc golf, right? If you want to grow the sport from a spectator side, we often talk about grow the sport in a getting people playing, which I think is the most obvious thing to do. But if you're the Pro Tour and you're trying to make money by selling tickets and creating fans, not everybody who's going to be a fan is necessarily going to be someone who wants to go play all the time. And this is the way that you reach people like that. So I love the idea. We'll see how it is in the execution. It's a lot. You got to set up a stage. You got to have the sound. You got to make sure that the timing makes sense. It sounds like they're planning to do these concerts on Saturday nights. So right before the final round, seems like a cool idea to me.
I like it. Next, inside the circle, Heather Young is taking a break from touring. On her Instagram, she said that she's going to take at least several months off from the Pro Tour and that she's had some ongoing struggles with her plans for the future of disc golf and life in general. And that during these struggles, she's kind of lost the desire to compete at the highest level. So Heather Young taking a break. She will for sure be missed. She, has a very unique style of game in terms of how excellent she is at putting that always kept her in contention, though she has had a slow start this year. Absolutely wish her the best as she takes some time off from the tour.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, especially somebody her age, it's got to be hard to sort of go out on the road for the first time and really be out on tour. And in combination with that, be struggling and not making as much money, not feeling like you're playing your best. And, I think it makes sense to take time off and decide what it is that you want to do. Because even people who are really good at disc golf don't all decide that they want to live on the road and be professional disc golfers. And that's a fine decision to make. If you think, suck it up and just go out and play, get better. Think about the fact that you have players like Nate Sexton who take long stretches off of the tour to be at home with their family. And I mean, Nate Sexton's not even playing at the Champions Cup this weekend. Mm-hmm. So, I hope we see Heather back on tour. But if she decides that she wants to go to college or do something else with her life, then that's okay too. And she can just dominate local A tiers. I think you have to decide if you want to be in it for the long haul. She would have to decide that that's what she wants to do and then commit to adding parts to her game that are lacking right now. Mm-hmm. It's kind of simple as that. There's a reason that she's not finishing higher on the leaderboard, and it's not because she doesn't have talent. It's because she can't throw far enough.
Yep. Finally, on Inside the Circle, we've got college disc golf championship winners. Mizzou takes it down on D1, both men and women's side. On the men's side, they win with a 26 under. Drew, Noah, Jared, and Quinton. Over on the FPO side, you have Alexis and Renee taking it down for their school. There was fireworks, though, at the College Disc Golf National Championships. Charlie, I know you spoke with a couple people who were involved in that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, it was certainly an interesting situation. So if you're a follower of college disc golf, you might know that Ferris State has been a long-time powerhouse and a school out of Michigan. After, I believe, 3 rounds, one of the players on the team, Brendan Tetloff, was disqualified because back in 2017, he qualified as what the PDGA categorizes as a premier pro. Okay, so you're allowed to be a professional player as categorized by the PDGA and compete at the College Disc Golf Championships. But if you are a premier professional, which means that you've either won an Elite Series or you've competed in some X number of events, or in the case of Brendan, you've earned more than a set amount of money. I believe it was $6,500 in 2017. He earned $7,600. He played a ton of disc golf in 2017. And that meant that in 2018, he became a premier professional. There's a 5-year window in which you're not allowed to be a premier pro and play at the College Disc Golf Championships. Another team who has not been identified, I talked to John Baker, the head of College Disc Golf. I also talked to Brendan. Neither of them knew. Well, obviously John knew, but he declined to comment about which team brought this up. But Brendan was DQ'd, and because they had already played team rounds with him competing, Ferris State was disqualified. And Brendan told me that the tournament directors allowed the rest of the Ferris State players to essentially play a meaningless provisional round, and that Ferris State may well have won the tournament had they been able to continue to compete. So it's an interesting situation. By the rules that the College Disc Golf organization sets for itself, they were supposed to be checking everybody's eligibility on this Premier Pro rule going back 5 years, but it sounds like they actually only checked last year. So what's really crazy about this is that Brendan will be still in college next year and will have now gone out of the 5-year window and will be back competing at the college disc golf championships next year. So regardless of what you think, when it was determined that there was somebody who was ineligible, he was deemed ineligible. That was decided by John Baker and the PDGA. There was agreement that he would have to be disqualified, and as would the team. And that was a decision that was made. So Ferris State can have a chip on their shoulder next year, Josh.
Yeah, they are. I would not want to be going up against them. It's a messy and unfortunate situation all around, with plenty of blame, I'm sure, to go around everywhere. It sucks.
Yeah, and I'll say really quickly, like John Baker said that, we kind of rely on more of an honor system. That's a quote. But that they own their responsibility and should have been checking back 5 years, as it says in the guidelines. I believe there are efforts underway to make sure that they publish a full list of premier pros from all 5 years so that it can be easily referenced and searched against for all of the players competing. Brendan said that, he was obviously upset, but that he understood and that he assumed that if he could register, he would be able to play. And that, it basically seemed, I'll quote him here. He says, "At the end of the day, I should have known. I can't really be mad at them for disqualifying me. It's part of the rules, so I've just got to take it."
Well, that's it for Inside the Circle, Charlie.
And we'll end on that. So anyway, watch for Brendan next year and Ferris State trying to come back and get back on top of the division. But congratulations to Mizzou. Let's not let this take away from
for sure
Missouri's double win, which is a pretty awesome thing to see. It was also the biggest ever college disc golf championships. Number of teams going up, number of players going up, 538 players competing this year. So great to see the growth in the college game. Okay, so let's get into some discussion about the Champions Cup. And first and foremost, let's, if you're new to the show or if you're new to sport, just quickly break down like what's going on with this tournament. So this is the first year we're going to have the Champions Cup. It was created by the PDGA after years of discussing the potential of having a fourth major. And they finally decided, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to create this fourth major. And initially, they were thinking about trying to do something a little different to make it unique, to make it unusual in some way. And what they came up with was a format that was 4 rounds of stroke play, and then the top 4 players qualifying into a match play tournament for another 2 rounds. And while some people thought this was a cool idea, broadly, I would say the sentiment from players and really many fans was, this is a horrible idea. Remember, Paul Macbeth initially left this tournament off of his schedule, and there was a lot of pressure from players and then eventually from sponsors on the PDGA to get this sorted out. And so that is what happened. They decided, you know what? Sorry, we're just going to do 4 rounds of stroke play. This is a major championship. People didn't like the idea of the gimmick. Mm-hmm. Josh, do you like, it's been a while since we've talked about this. Do you like the fact that they switched this over to the 4 round stroke play?
Yes, I do. I forget often about Eagles major. It's a problem that I have. If someone had won a major in that format, especially if the format didn't go super well, and so they changed it next year, I would forget about the major winners, especially if it was an odd person.
Oh, brutal
right?
Asterisk.
Brutal asterisk. I would never remember it. And of course, because that's the case, it would be Eagle. And I would continue to say Eagle is not a major winner, even though he would now have 2. That would be just my luck. It would be Eagle and then, like Missy or something winning the weird formats. It is much better, in my opinion, to continue to run it in a tried true method of what we've decided is the format that we run with in professional disc golf, modeling and after traditional golf. If I'm not opposed to fun ideas, but we have events for those. We have the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. We have All-Star and match play events we don't need to make a major a fun.
I think we should come out against fun here on the Upshot. Everything should be really serious. No promotional events, no concerts.
No, get rid of them.
Pure disc golf.
I want
15 round worlds.
white and black discs only. No colors.
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree. I think the problem with having a major next to a really non-standard format is that it doesn't feel like that's the same kind of win as a win at all of our other major championships. Mm-hmm. Why would we want that? We wouldn't want that. So I think the PDGA understandably wanted to try to make this event stand out in some way. But the way to make an event stand out is to have a big purse and to really put a lot of energy into making it a great event and developing the history by having longevity as a tournament.
Yep.
And there's nothing you can do. At the beginning, it's not going to be quite the same. So in year one, it is what it is. But look, European players are coming over to compete in this tournament. The field is amazing.
It is.
Like, we don't have every single player. I mentioned Nate Sexton's not playing. But there are more 1030 plus rated MPO players and 940 plus rated FPO players than attended the 2021 World Championships. So, like, what more do you want? Like, everyone at this tournament is either a top-rated player or a champion of some kind.
Yep.
So there's a couple players who got in because they're like the MA1 and FA1 champions, or they won AM Worlds, or they won their country's national championship, and so they got an invite. And that's awesome, right? That's a really cool concept, is to be like, we're going to give invites to all of these various champions, and then, we'll fill it up with registration at that point. But like, basically everyone is over 900 rated in FPO and over 1,000 rated in MPO. Like, there's no cheapy, there's no randos in the field.
No.
Like, this is the best of the best. And so I'm excited about that. Update, we talked about Eagle on Tuesday. Eagle is in Appling. He's been there since Monday. He's been practicing. He's good to go. He's going to be playing. Now, how his forehand situation is, that we do not know. But he will be competing, and he shot a 1060 rated round back at a tournament in Wyoming a couple weeks ago. So certainly still very capable. I mean, even if he can only throw backhand, we saw that at Las Vegas Challenge, until the final round, he was very much in the mix of things. This is one of the world's most talented players. So great to see that he's going to be in the field.
Knowing the Eagle is in the field, I would like to rescind my Brody Smith argument on the this or that. This is all I needed. one tournament, and I'm back on the Eagle.
There's no
train.
take backs, Josh.
I caveated that. I put conditions. I reserved that right to do so.
So if you haven't listened to our interview with John Hauk, who designed the W.R. Jackson course that the players will be competing on for 4 rounds, it was yesterday. Go check it out. I think it's really worth a listen if you want to get some more insight into the course and what it's all about. Short story here. A lot of woods, a lot of trees, very flat, and lots of par 4s and 5s. So we have some long, tricky holes, and there are fairways and lines to take. There are some holes, I think, where you kind of gotta throw and hope you miss a tree. But there are lines out there through the woods, and as John talked about in our interview, a lot of times if you get out of position, there's probably some crazy throw you can try to get back into position and to reach the basket. So it should be a kind of a refreshing change from a lot of the holes that, where there's a lot of out of bounds. And if you kick off a tree, you take an OB stroke. That's not going to be the case here. Very little OB to be found.
I went back and I've been watching 2017 Worlds at the rounds at WR Jackson. And round 1, hole 1, Eagle throws his mid too far. It goes into the trees, and he lays down a patent pending roller that puts him underneath the basket for birdie as a circle. Sick. Right. But I mean, he still was able to save birdie. It required an excellent shot, but he had probably one of the worst drives because of how far out of position he was, and still was the only one to get birdie on that hole. That's not going to be something unusual, right? Good drives, you're going to be rewarded for good drives, but your work is not done, and you are not completely just done if you don't have the perfect drive. It's something I really like, and I think it's largely because this course is designed, and many of the holes are designed, that there are multiple paths and shots to whichever landing zone. You can take anhyzers, forehands, flip-up hyzers, all can achieve the same result and get you in a similar area, some obviously with more aggression or risk, but it allows players to play to their comfort level, balancing both their skills of what they prefer for shots as well as what the risk-reward is, because there isn't a lot of holes that just say you must throw X shot that has to fly in X manner.
And that's a real difference about this course compared to a lot of other woods courses.
Yes.
Like if you imagine a typical woods course, a lot of times it's like narrow fairway, dogleg right, like you must throw forehand unless you have insane James Conrad-esque control on a turnover backhand.
Right.
So it's like you got to throw something flat that then, starts to hook up at the right time to get down to the dogleg to the right. There are holes where I think that would be it would be beneficial to have a forehand
Correct.
shot out of W.R. Jackson, but there's enough width and there's enough other options that you could choose to do something different. And I think that actually makes it quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that kind of is annoying to me about a lot of courses right now is that you're often going to see all of the players on the card throw the same shot because it's just such an obvious decision. Now, there occasionally you have somebody on there who's such a forehand specialist, say that they typically choose forehand whenever they can. So they'll throw forehand and everybody else throws backhand.
Think big
German. But a lot of times we're seeing the same shot over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, who executed that shot the best? I do not expect we will see that this weekend. I think we're going to see a lot of players choosing different options based on what they feel most comfortable with. And the fact is, that's a really nice piece about this course, is that it allows for that optionality in a way that some other courses don't, especially other woods courses.
One thing that was remarkable to me at when I was watching the Masters this past weekend is that you would have holes that you would see players come up, some with a driver, some with an iron, and even between rounds, players were changing their shots about how aggressive they were going to go and where they were going to play and which landing zone they were going to play for. I wish more disc golf courses were like that, where based on conditions, based on your skills, you could choose different shots. Our equivalent being, because not just driver fairway difference, right? But the actual shot itself and the choice then is, allowing you to make decisions and risk calculus of how far, how aggressive, and that different shot styles can be permitted on the same hole with varying degrees of success. I really like that about this course. I think it's going to be something that's really good. And hole 18, for example, a hole that can be eagled. 2 excellent shots. It is a eagleable par 5 that ensures that there's drama. But you've seen plenty of double bogeys on that hole.
That's right.
This tournament will not be done until the final disc is in hole 18. And that's something I really, really like about this course as well.
All right. So on the purse side, they have guaranteed a $100,000 minimum purse. They say that, that number is likely to go up based on ticket sales, etc. So, that's a nice healthy number. Mm-hmm. I don't expect it to get to last year's World Championships number, which was 173,000. Which, remember, they came in late with extra money after like a little bit of a lower number initially announced. That was the second biggest purse last year behind the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship at $250K. Ledgestone came in last year at $119,000. So this is very likely to be one of the biggest payouts of the season. Mm-hmm. And we'll see just how big it ends up being, but minimum 100,000. So with only 140 players in the tournament, there's going to be some nice healthy payouts for people who make the cash line. So let's see what else to talk about here. Spectators, we mentioned this yesterday, just 400 tickets available per day, but players were given 2 tickets per day to give out to friends or family. So, I would expect there's no, it's not possible for there to be more than, I think, maybe 750 people or something like that out on the course. And it's understandable. Like, if you've watched coverage, there's just not a whole ton of room on a lot of the holes to watch. It's dense woods, and the course was built at a time when worrying about spectators was at the bottom of the list of priorities. So that'll be an odd note when, we've kind of grown accustomed to seeing big crowds at majors lately. Last year, Worlds, we had a couple thousand people for the final round. European Open, the last time we saw it, 5,000 people. I mean, it was incredible. And USDGC hit attendance records in 2021. So it's definitely going to be less on the spectator front this time around. But right now, that's the trade-off for a woods course.
Last thing I think is real important here, weather. Thursday is expected to have thunderstorms. There is a very strong possibility of rain delays at this tournament because of the thunderstorms. Friday is supposed to be gorgeous weather, and then Saturday and Sunday both have risk of rain and scattered showers. Woods golf in the rain. I mean, what more could you ask for, Charlie? Like, we're about to get the difficult disc golf experience when grip, the woods, the lines. This is going to be, I think, an exciting challenge for the spectators and for the fans to watch. I cannot wait to watch it. I personally actually really enjoy watching disc golf tournaments when they're in the rain. I think it adds a different element that it's really interesting to watch players adapt to. So I think it's just gonna add to the challenge if you're gonna want to take home this major.
Yeah, and so the forecast is for scattered showers. We'll probably have some rain and probably lots of time without it. Like Josh said, it's very possible that we could see some lightning delays on day one. We'll see how that affects things. Tee times are not up yet. Coverage will be available, of course, on YouTube. Jomez will be there covering MPO 1, Gatekeeper, MPO 2, GK Pro, FPO 1, and then there'll be live coverage on the Disc Golf Network. Commentators are Ian Anderson and Philo Brathwaite on MPO, and then Ian and Elaine King on FPO. So we got a lot more to come. We're going to start talking about the competition on the other side of this break. We'll be right back. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. And I've been talking about it. The new smaller bag from Pound, the Rufus, is almost here. You can check out videos of the prototype version 1 and 2 on Pound Disc Golf's new YouTube channel. Just search Pound Disc Golf on YouTube or go to youtube.com/Pound Disc Golf, and you can check out the videos as well as an introduction to their new fly pack, which is available now. I can't wait to get my hands on a Rufus. Already, they've built so many cool new things into just the version 2 of the prototype. So go check out the video and find out more. Welcome back to the Upshot. So now it's time to start talking about who the heck is going to take this thing down. Who is going to get the win? We haven't played a tournament at WR Jackson since 2019. So players, while many players have played here because, 2017 Worlds had rounds here, back-to-back NT finales in 2018 and 2019. It's been a couple years since players have competed here, and we'll see how that affects things. The course is very, very similar to its 2019 layout. A couple of little small OB changes for MPO, and then there's 2 new FPO tee pads to shorten up some of the holes. And otherwise, there's some changes to par for FPO, but largely this is the same course that everybody played at the 2019 Hall of Fame Classic. So where to begin? Josh, why don't we just take a quick look first at who played well here in 2019 and maybe 2018. A number of top players skipped the 2019 NT finale. There was no Ricky, no Paul Macbeth, no Eagle McMahon. And that year, Calvin Heimberg and Adam Hammis went to a playoff, Calvin getting the win in the playoff, multi-hole playoff. Chris Dickerson finishing in third place. On FPO, Sarah Hokum got the win, beating out Paige Pierce and Katrina Allen. And back in 2018, Macbeth, Barsby, and then a three-way tie for third place between Johnny McRae, Eagle McMahon, and Michael Johansson. Katrina got the win over Paige Pierce, Sarah Hokum finishing in third. So I guess the first question is, Josh, in your mind, do you prioritize thinking that players who played well at this course in the past have an advantage this weekend? Or do you say the major championship matters more and we should look at players who've won majors and have performed well at majors?
I think that it's my first test is those who play well at majors. I understand that people have played well at this course. I'm sure I could probably find locals who play really well at this course and can shoot what would be a hot round, a local pro. That doesn't mean they're going to perform at the highest level for 4 rounds. So my first look is going to be filtering by who performs well at majors and then taking that into consideration when we look at overall performance based on course. I say that, but when you look at the results of this tournament, you have a lot of major winners up in there, or those who have contended for majors. Chris Dickerson, Calvin Heimberg taking second at USDGC the year Chris Dickerson won it. But Calvin, traditionally not as good at the majors. And then you move over to 18, you've got Paul Macbeth, then Greg Barsby, former Worlds winner. And then you go down to even 2017 Worlds, you've got Ricky in first, Paul in second. So, on the MPO side, it's major winners. On FPO side, you got Sarah Hokum, a world champion winner. Paige Pierce, Katrina Allen. Those are your podium for the past 2 years. And then once you get into Worlds, you get Valerie Jenkins. That can't believe that was only 5 years ago.
Shout out to Val Jenkins.
Shout out to Val Jenkins. And then Lisa Fakis in third, with Paige taking the win. So this course is a championship level course that has favored major winners in the past. But I think that your first standard when you're looking and evaluating who should be your winner this weekend really has got to be with the major winners first in mind, course second.
Well, let's take a look at the results of the last 6 majors. We chose 6 because that takes us back in through all of the tournaments and all of the majors since 2019. Mm-hmm. So that's the 2019 European Open, the World Championships, USDGC, and US Women's. 2020, we only had the one major, remember, it was USDGC and the Women's National Championship in Winthrop. And then last year we had Worlds and the US Championships. So over those 6 tournaments, how have players performed? So we did the math. First of all, you have, in that time, you have just 3 major champions in each division. So of those 6 titles went to 3 people total. Here they are. You might be able to guess them. Might be able to remember. Paul Macbeth won 3. He won the European Open in 2019. He won 2019 Worlds, and he won the 2021 USDGC. James Conrad won 2021 Worlds, as well as the 2019 USDGC, and Chris Dickerson took down the 2020 US Disc Golf Championships. So those are your winners since 2019 at the majors. Chris Dickerson, James Conrad, Paul Macbeth. On the FPO side, it's Paige Pierce, Katrina Allen, and Kristen Tatar. Paige has been dominant. She's got 4 wins, 2019 Euros, 2019 Worlds, 2020 Women's National Championship, and the 2021 US Women's Championship. Katrina, of course, won last year's Worlds, and Kristen Tatar won the 2019 US Women's. So interesting to see, right? I think if you had to pick out right now who are the best players in FPO, you're going to name the 3 players who've won majors over the last 3 years.
Yep.
Like, that's the group. And then in MPO, what's so interesting is that some of these names that we talk so much about as being the best in the sport, Ricky, Eagle, Calvin, none of those guys have won a major since in the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. Eagle obviously has the Konopishte win. Ricky has multiple major championships from the past, but nothing recently. And it's actually James Conrad who has the second most majors in the last 3 years behind Macbeth, which is an amazing statistic when you really sit back and think about it. James is a great player, but I don't think anybody would have picked him out to be the guy who would be winning more majors than anybody else since 2019, besides the greatest player in the history of the game.
He's not even 1040 rated right now. Like,
it's wild.
It's so crazy.
So, what stands out to you here, Josh, especially when we look at kind of like average finishes?
Yeah, so we did two finishes, average finishes. We did a true average finish, and we did an adjusted average finish, dropping worst performance. The reason we chose to do that was largely, a couple of outlier performances, but the big one that's most notable, Paul Macbeth took 64th at 2019 USDGC. This is when he had the ankle injury. I remember distinctly, I was kind of watching UDisc that year, and he took, I know it was a double-digit number on one of the holes, and just was shocked. And that's when, we hear a little bit more about his ankle injury. He ends up getting surgery on that ankle. If you take his average finish, it's usually 12.3 with that 64th place. Take that out, though, his average finish is second. A dead even second. 11125 are his finishes. Just exceptional performance. Ricky is not far behind with an adjusted finish of 2.8. And then it's actually Chris Dickerson at 3.8 with the next best finish.
Chris Dickerson has not missed the top 5 at a major since 2019.
It's impressive. Chris Dickerson plays well at the majors. On the flip side, Calvin has poor performances at the majors, and there's not even steady improvement. 20th at 2019 Worlds, 28th at 2019 USDGC, second at 2020. That was when he ran down Chris Dickerson and almost caught him. And then 11th at 2021 Worlds and 45th at 2021 USDGC. Not strong performance from Calvin. And remember, 2019 was, Calvin's dominant year. It's where he bookended the national tour, winning the Las Vegas Challenge and then winning the Hall of Fame Classic for the finale. And he still, 20th was the best performance that he could muster, and is his best performance. It was 11th at Worlds last year was his best performance at Worlds. But from someone of Calvin's caliber, you'd expect him to be higher. That sends red flags up for me for this tournament.
We'll get into that when we start talking about our picks. Other players we put into the conversation here, James Conrad has averaged if you take out the worst performance, 6.6. That matches Eagle McMahon, 6.6. And then, some other names like Drew Gibson. He hasn't really played that well at the majors historically, but then remember, he popped up last year, finished 4th at USDGC, had the great finish at the at the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships, and clearly has just leveled up his game. So I think you have to consider him a threat this weekend, even though he hasn't necessarily had the strongest major record. Over in FPO, it's a lot of what you would expect. Paige, Katrina, Kristen, all strong performances, great average finishes. Same is true for Evelina and Henna, who have not played any majors since 2019 Worlds. So a very small sample size for them, but they both finished in the top 5 at 2019 Worlds and the 2019 European Open. Valerie Mondahano, 10th at 2019 Worlds, 18th at 2021 Worlds. Could she get her best ever major finish? Seems very possible. Missy Gannon, averaging 8.5 at the majors, if you take out her 19th place finish at 2019 U.S. Women's. So, look, I think you would probably assume that one of the winners is going to be one of the big 3 right now. But the fact is, there's a lot of players who haven't necessarily played that strong in the past who have clearly leveled up and may well have a chance to win this weekend. How about Haley King? Hasn't missed the top 10 since 2020.
Well, and the other thing about Valerie and Missy that you've got to consider is that the Throw Pink Women's Championship and the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship are not included in those results. So, They aren't majors. They don't have the M next to them.
But they kind of are.
Right. We disagree with that. We think that the Throw Pink Women's Championship has all of the qualifications necessary, and in fact was probably, it feels honestly like a more legitimate major than the U.S. Women's National Championship last year, given the course, the structure, the professionalism of that event. That means that you have to keep Missy in mind, and that's why we include her on this list, because she has performed well at an event that feels like a major. But I think it would be amiss to say that I know that my winner comes from the top 3. Does yours, Charlie?
It does.
That's not surprising. I think most people's winners are going to come out of that top 3. Just the level of dominance that they've had both at the majors and this season is keeping them on a pedestal that I think elevates them a little bit higher.
Who would it mean the most to, and I will answer this question for each division, who would it mean the most to win a major? Not necessarily their first, but like to win this weekend, who would it mean the most to?
I would I'm really torn in MPO because I think there's 2 really worthy candidates, but I really feel like it would, there's a couple, but I've got to say Calvin. I think
that's my answer too.
Yeah. Eagle with the injury and only having Kona Pichte, I think it would mean a lot. Drew would mean an immense amount to him, I'm sure. But the level of expectation that has been placed upon Calvin, which we have greatly contributed to because of his historical performance and rating and play, I think this would be a really valuable major for him. And it gets that monkey off his back.
He's the top 5 player on tour, and he's the only one that doesn't have a major. Macbeth has many. Wysocki has multiple. Eagle's got 1. Chris Dickerson's got 1.
Yep.
Calvin doesn't have 1. And that's going to weigh on him and his legacy until he gets 1. I think he has an excellent chance to win this weekend.
I agree.
Combination of the game we've seen from him so far this season, his performance on this course in the past, and but I do think it's fair to say we need to see him step up when it counts. It has to be said, he struggled down the stretch at the final round at Worlds last year.
Yes, he did.
He was in a position to have a chance to win that tournament, and he made some big mistakes. And his major performance is easily the worst of any of the big names historically. And so the combination of that pressure, along with the just obviously high level of play that we've seen from him, I'm with you. I think it's Calvin. I agree. I think that Eagle and Drew are like 2 and 3. Eagle getting a win this weekend would just be it would be very inspiring. To see him bounce back after dealing with this arm injury and having to skip tournaments. And there's no question that would be a special moment for, somebody who I still believe is like the next top player. And then, Drew, it's just like, that would be it would be legitimizing for him.
Yeah.
To like cement him as one of the big names.
Right.
Because I don't know that he's necessarily quite considered that yet.
I think if he wins this weekend, we talked about the possibility of him being considered number 1 in the power rankings, but if he wins this weekend, I think you cannot say top 5 and assume that Drew is not a part of that discussion.
Sure.
Right. At that point,
I have to agree.
Where then you have really hard questions of Dickerson versus Drew versus Calvin, and where do those 3 fit in, and how do they function inside of the top group, and how do we speak about that top group? Do we make it more exclusive and to just say top 3? Do we open it up to top 6? It would be legitimizing, but I agree with you that Calvin, I think it just means the most for Calvin.
For me, if I look over at the FPO side, I think the answer has got to be Haley King.
That's my pick too.
There's another, like, this is a similar story, right? Like if Evelina wins, like, wow, what a crazy story that would be. But she's already won a major. Yep. So I don't know if it means quite the same as to see Haley King, who has not won one yet, get one.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's similarly like maybe not quite considered in that top group, right? She's like tier 1B or tier 2. And this would similarly to Drew Gibson lock her in as you must discuss her as one of the top.
Yep.
In that elite group. And you could argue that she's already in it, but all of the other players up at the top have a major championship and she does not.
I mean, you and I just talked about, though, Paige, Katrina, Kristen. That is 1A. That is top tier. Those three are the elite S tier. That's where they are. And Haley, as good as she is, I think she can beat any one of them on any given weekend. But I don't pick her regularly to beat them every weekend because of the consistency. Because and there was I do need to take a little bit of a mulligan because I was corrected in the Discord that Haley's finishes are not as low and she doesn't miss the top 10. Her streakiness rather is inside of tournaments with individual rounds that pull her off podium more regularly than outside of, even top 5. That I think that's true. I know that's true. The statistics back it up, but I think that this major kind of helps silences those doubts a little bit about those poor rounds that have tarnished a little bit the gleam that is Haley King as a young and up and coming player in the FPO division.
I just want to quickly shout out Kristen Tatar, who was rated in the 800s in 2017. And then at the end of 2018 was 928 rated. The end of 2019 was 968 rated. And then is now 980 rated as of the update this week. She is 2 points behind Paige Pierce. They're the only two players 980 or above. Incredible.
Has Katrina hit the 980 mark before?
I don't think so.
Are these the only two FPO players to ever make the 980 mark?
I think that's got to be right. I'm gonna double check about Katrina, but I don't think she's ever gotten out of the 970s.
She is not. Her highest rating was 977 back in 2019, fall of 2019, for three months. So,
but like Kat and Paige were top players in 2017. Like Kat's rating was in the 960s in 2017. Kristen's was in the 800s in 2017. Think about that. That's an amazing statistic.
Kat has been, her first time she hit 960 was 2012.
What a beast.
10
Just
years.
been killing it for years.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
And of course, she and Paige Pierce have just dominated the major championship wins over that time.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to get to our picks in a moment. But let's talk about some dark horse candidates. We've talked about the big names, but who are some players that you think could show up on a podium this weekend or even compete for a win?
So here, Charlie, I've got a proposal for you.
Okay.
We've got our we both have written down dark horse candidates. I say if any dark horse candidate that makes top 5 should be 1 bonus point to our picks.
I like it.
It's a major, top 5 in a major for a dark horse pick, and I think these are pretty legitimate dark horse picks. Like this is not like, Matty O or
we're not going. We're not throwing a dart at the bottom of the ratings list.
Correct, but we're also a ways down relative rating. So I think these are good dark horse picks, and I think a top 5 finish would be pretty good for them.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go first.
Okay.
On the FPO side, I'm going to go with Holly Finley.
Ooh, okay.
Holly is a great player in the woods.
Uh-huh.
Her game looks good right now. She's worked on adding distance. We've seen her look sharp in the woods, throwing the strikes and getting a little bit of a move on the disc. And obviously she's a great putter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any reason why she couldn't be successful out here at WR Jackson. This is the kind of course on which she's going to feel very comfortable. And a lot of the other players who have distance advantages over her, their advantage is going to be muted because of the course style.
Yep.
So I really like Holly Finley as have a shot. I don't think I could pick her to win, but top 5, Yes, absolutely. So I'm going with Holly Finley.
It's a good pick. On my FPO side, I've got Owen Scoggins. I think staying out of the rough is going to be, I mean, that's just the most critical point. Owen is going to do a great job of that. She's an exceptional putter, and I think she's going to make up strokes on the green. No reason I don't see her being able to get into the top 5 from there.
I'm actually really curious to take a look at the strokes gained numbers from 2019. I'll take a look at that in a second. My dark horse pick on the MPO side is Joel Freeman. He's been a little up and down. We had the controversy with, some weird rules stuff going on at the tournament 2 weeks ago. Look, let's let the noise wash over, and let's take a look at the key facts. The guy has been playing extremely well off the tees. We have seen him able to carve lines in wooded type holes so far this season. He is not being talked about enough as a player who is up, regularly in the top 10 range right now. Mm-hmm. Why not him up at the top of the leaderboard this weekend? He has to make sure that his mental game stays sharp. I mean, that's been a long time issue for him, and we saw him kind of melt down a little bit at Music City. But I do think that he's capable of going out there and being a top 5 guy at WR Jackson.
Yep, I think that's a great pick. My MPO pick is one who I don't think is talked enough about right now because it's the wrong time of the season, or the disc golf season for him. It's the wrong season to be talking about him. Andrew Marweed. We don't start talking about Andrew Marweed until we start getting to the East Coast. But remember, last year, his finish of the season, Ledgestone 4th, Idlewild 2nd, Delaware 4th, MVP Open 7th, Green Mountain Championship 5th. This guy dominates in the woods. He is an amazing woods player, and he has a really versatile forehand that allows him to play well in the woods, but have a variety of shots that I think are going to really benefit him at WR Jackson. There are holes that don't require a forehand per se, but I think the ability to throw a forehand, especially one that has touch and you can throw flip-up forehands, are really going to benefit Andrew Marweed. I think people sleep on Andrew Marweed because it's, we're not in the late stretch of the season yet. This, Champions Cup does not fit courses we've played thus far, and thus I think it's a really good shape for him.
I like it. The knock is that he finished 24th at Hall of Fame Classic in 2019.
And that's true.
But that's a while ago, and I think we've seen him play better disc golf since then.
I agree.
Joel Freeman, 8th place at 2019.
Okay, and he's playing better disc golf. I like the pick.
Tee to green performance, absolutely the key. When you look at the stats, like that is going to be the deciding factor on who wins. There's just not enough strokes to be gained on the putting green here. Now, I mean, putting's important, of course, but it could be a tiebreaker up at the top. But, we're seeing the numbers from a 3-round tournament. Calvin was 20 strokes gained tee to green and only 4 strokes gained putting. And he ended up winning over Adam Hammis. So it goes to show you, especially over 4 rounds, like giving yourself those birdie opportunities is all about your performance off the tee pad and then on those second shots. It's just putting counts, but the holes are so hard to reach in some cases that it's about what you can do with those clean shots up to the green. Okay, it is time. Josh, you want to go picks first or over unders first?
Let's do our over unders first. We got 3 of them.
Over unders. We're going 3. It's a major. We're going deep. So
the real reason we're going deep is because Charlie's losing 6-4 right now, and he wants a chance to come back this weekend.
I did lose last week's. I said the average round rating would be over 1054.5, and Albert Tom's final round did me no favors. I was looking good, and then didn't end up happening for me. So Josh gets the win. Here is the first of our 3 over-unders today. Total purse at this tournament, once it's finally all said and done, $118,000.
And we know it's minimum $100,000.
Minimum 100,000.
Especially because it's the first major. It's a new major. I feel like they're going to. I mean, we know they're pushing in order to get that number up. It's a way to help establish that legitimacy. I'm gonna put the over. I'm gonna take the over here.
All right. So Josh is going over 118K. What you got for me, Josh?
So next up, we've got winning MPO score. We took kind of average rounds from 2019, 2018. This course looks really similar on the MPO side from 2019. We're looking at about an average of 9-ish under, I'd say. Not quite, maybe closer, between 8 and 9 mark as being the hot round and good rounds for the day. So winning MPO score over 4 rounds, 39.5.
Oh, we had written down 37.5.
37. Excuse me. No. 37.5. No. You're right. Thank you for the correction. I said the 9 strokes in my head, and so
in 2019 it was 25 down through 3 rounds. So that's, what is that? That's a little more than 8.
Yeah.
Average under par per round. So if you add 8 to that, you get 33. In 2018 it was 28 down, so that's a little more than 9 strokes. This is a major. We've got all the best players. I think there's going to be more pressure to perform strong. I think somebody could. Man, that's a good number. I'm gonna take the under. So further under par.
Okay.
I'll say
Better
38
score.
under or better.
Okay.
38 under or better. I don't know. With the conditions. No, I take it back. I'm going to take the over.
All right. I'm putting it in.
Conditions, I think, are going to make a difference. If it's rainy, it's going to be harder to score.
It's true.
So I'm saying 37 under or worse for the winner in MPO.
Correct.
Josh, I ask you a similar question in FPO.
Okay.
The course has had some new tee pads added, and the par has been reduced or has been increased by 2. So we would expect to see scores improving by 2 strokes a round on average. And then that doesn't even account for the 2 changed tee pads, which will probably push scores a little lower on those holes as well. FPO in 2019 the winner was at 4 under. That was Sarah Hokum through 3 rounds. So this year's number, I give you through 4 rounds, 13.5 under par.
Okay. It's so hard because, we could conceivably see 4 strokes around because of those changes. And that's 16 strokes right there. But the problem is, for example, when Katrina won it in 2018 at 1 over par, Paige came in second with a 9 over par.
Wow.
So it wasn't even close. That 1 over was really good, actually. I really feel like the changes, though, are going to benefit them. And we have 3 women who are playing just exceptional golf right now. And we have 8 women who all could conceivably win this. I think that kind of competition is going to push the scores further. Give me the under.
Okay.
So I'll take
14 under or better.
I've got the double unders.
Okay. There we go. Betting on the players to play well is usually smart.
I just remember the last time, but early when I was on the show, you said, no way anyone gets double digits on this course. And then we took over on it.
I've never, anytime I ever hear anybody say anything about, oh man, a 3 under is going to be a great round out here. Remember, just the Texas States, Barsby's like, 5 under going to be pretty special score out here. And people are shooting 9 down.
Yeah.
All right. It is now time to get to our picks. So this is going to be a lot of fun. And this was agonizing, to be honest. You want to pick everybody, but it's not possible.
Yeah.
So let us begin. Why don't we start in FPO? Josh, who you got?
My 3rd place, I'm taking somebody who I've been picking a lot lately, and I've been rewarded for it. I'm taking Valerie Mondahano.
Ooh.
It is spicy, but she, remember, at the Throw Pink Women's Championship, up until hole 17, conceivably could have won the tournament. She's been improving. We've seen then good performance at a major, quote unquote major, and she has had one of the best seasons to start. I mean, it's been an amazing season start for her. I don't see any reason why she couldn't continue to play well. She does well in the woods. It is a different style of woods, but between USDGC and her performance in the woods in Texas, I don't see any reason why she couldn't do the same thing here. So I've got Valerie coming in my third slot. Do you want to go back and forth on the third, or do you want me to just finish my picks?
No, just make your picks.
Just make the picks? Okay. In my second place, I've got Paige Pierce. The most dominant player at the majors. She's won here before. She won 2017 Worlds here. And so no reason why she couldn't play well here. I think between the, in the top three grouping, it's just a matter of who are you going to leave off. And spoiler, here it is. I'm picking Kristen Tatar to win it. This means Katrina Allen is staying off my podium, but
wow.
Kristen is due for a win. I know it's superstition. I don't care. She's played excellent. She is due. This is her tournament. She's getting a major. Her performance has been great this year, and I see no reason why she doesn't win this.
All right. Calling for Kristen to win her second major since 2019 U.S. Women's. I'm going to leave Kristen off my podium, Josh. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's wrong, but I'm going to go with the players who have dominated here historically.
Okay.
And in third place, I have Sarah Hokum. And I think at this point, that's a little bit of a spicy pick. A couple years ago, this would be pretty chalky. But I think, the way Sarah has started out the season, it's probably a little bit aggressive to pick her here. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, we've seen her have a ton of success at WR Jackson. We're back in the woods. The forehand is going to be in play. And statistically, she's playing similarly to past seasons. And past seasons has meant a lot of success out here at WR Jackson. So I'm calling for her to get back into the mix. We've seen her be able to use her forehand's ability to get into some landing zones that other players can't on kind of those forehand critical holes. And so I really like her chances there. Boy, that's a reason to like Kristen Tatar, though, I'll tell you what, because the forehand's so good. But I'm going to take Sarah Hokum in third place. In second place, I have Paige Pierce. Same story here. Obviously, Paige, has done exceptionally well at majors always and has played well here. I just can't pick her to win right now because I think the player who's playing the best right now is Katrina Allen. And I think that the precision that we've seen from her off the tees has been critical. I really like the way she's been throwing the disc. I like the confidence that I've seen from her, and I think she's going to win a major championship here this weekend. It would be, the second in a row after winning at Worlds last year. So I think we haven't seen Katrina playing better than this in a couple of years, and so I love her chances. So yeah, it's gross to leave Kristen off, but what are you going to do? Let's go to MPO. I will start this time. In third place, I am taking Ricky Wysocki. Feels like a mandatory pick on the podium for me right now.
Yep.
But I think there's just enough question marks about his past performance on this course that I'm not totally convinced that he's going to be able to take it down. Certainly a good sign that we saw him win at Texas States. Has about as good a chance as anybody, but I'm putting him in third. In second, as much as I wanted to pick him to win, I just can't do it. Calvin Heimberg. Incredible ability on this course in the past. I think we've seen him start to round into form so far this season. Mm-hmm. And as I would love to see him win, but I can't pick him over Paul McBeth, who has just proven to me to start this year that he is still the guy to beat, and especially so at the majors.
Especially at majors.
Okay. Take out the injury year. The dude has been dominating.
Yes.
I mean, he was the best player at 2021 Worlds. He was. Sorry. I mean, incredible story. And I can't say it enough, but like he won USDGC. He essentially had won Worlds, except for a 1% fluke chance of losing. He won 2019 Worlds. He won the 2019 European Open. And like, I don't know what more you need to see. The guy shows up for the majors and has won here before. And is playing amazing right now.
Yeah.
Okay? So give me Macbeth for the win.
Charlie, your 3 picks are the 3 previous winners at the W.R. Jackson course. So I like the picks.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm making some spicy surprise picks.
Well,
but I'm doing what I do, which is pick winners.
That's fair. I am going to go some spicy here. I've got Drew Gibson in 3rd. I
like it.
I think Drew, we know he hasn't had a historical great performance at majors, but he has in the recent, right? What have you done for me lately? If you're looking at lately at majors, it was a 4th place USDGC finish. It was a great performance at the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship, and then starting the season off with a win. Drew is putting better than he ever has before, and that buzz, man, is going to do wonders for him at this course. And so I really like his chances here. It's a spicy pick. He has had poor performances here in the past, but I really like Drew. I think he's playing at a level higher than he has ever played before. 2nd place, Mr. Macbeth. It's hard to pick against Macbeth. He's an automatic lock for the podium, especially given the fact that the only thing that's kept him out from being completely dominant this season is a fluky round in every single one of his tournaments, or most of his tournaments, that has been exceptionally poor, but has been so, it's been a round that was so bad by Macbeth standards that it shocked us, and he still finishes in the top 10. He's got a 4th round to overcome that bad round now, so he's allowed to have a subpar round and still could very much win this tournament thanks to the 4-round tournament. Macbeth is the best when it comes to 4-round tournaments, but I am taking Mr. Ricky Wysocki. Won Worlds here in 2017. It was his last World Championship. I really feel like Ricky is in good form right now. He wins Texas States. He has great history here. And I think Ricky's scramble ability is going to be something that's really critical. Ricky's coming into form at the right time. I'm picking Ricky to take down another major at this tournament.
That insane alert was because Josh picked Ricky.
That's right.
So New York City sent out an emergency alert that like overrides your phone's silence settings because they're trying to find the guy who shot up the subway yesterday. So I hope they find him. There you go, Josh. Wow. Taking Rick. I'm taking Paul. You've got Kristen. I've got Katrina. Who was the hardest player for you to leave off your podiums?
Really hard to leave Dickerson off, but Calvin. Yeah. I typed C for Calvin onto my picks like 4 times. I typed it and then I deleted it, and then I typed it and then I deleted it.
Why don't you see him finishing in the top 3?
Just his majors performance, and I get that. Yeah, right. 2019, you're right. He won it, but in 2018, he finished 26th. So he ends his season on 26th at this course and then goes and wins Las Vegas. I don't think that his skills drastically changed in those couple of months. He did play better. He had a great 2019 season. I know he can play well at this course. I completely expect Calvin to be in the top 5, but Calvin does not deliver the goods when it comes to majors. The one thing I should say, though, if you're going to pick anybody to run down a leader in pouring rain on a difficult course, Calvin might be a really good pick here.
Have you considered this?
Okay.
Contract year, Calvin. Just want to put that out there. Just make sure you thought about it.
I did think about it. I thought about it a lot. The other pick that was really hard for me to leave off was contract year Haley. Doesn't have the same ring for it, but I feel like Haley King could come out and surprise us. She's not being talked about a lot because she's been absent from the tour for a couple of tournaments, wisdom teeth, travel issues, etc. So
yeah, and I'm holding it against people a little bit, even though I sort of talked about on Tuesday why I don't think you should. I just don't know if I can buy somebody who has not been getting up into tour form, getting up into the top 3. I just don't know if I can.
Well, that's why Eagle and Haley.
And I guess we'll find out, right? I guess we'll find out, because it's not that I don't think that like Haley and Drew, for example, or Eagle can't win. In fact, I would say Eagle was one of the players I thought was most difficult for me to leave off the podium.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, he's played well here before, but it's just too many question marks.
Yeah.
You know, the combination of I don't know what's going on with his forehand. It's a woods course where I don't really think he's going to have like a big advantage. It's just hard for me to pick him. Like if I knew his forehand was at 100% and he was good to go, I might well have put him in my podium. But without the forehand in some of these holes where you really need it, it's just too much uncertainty.
Yeah,
too much uncertainty. So hopefully we get to hear from him in the press conference and see how he's feeling. So that is going to do it for our picks. We hope you are looking forward to the Champions Cup as much as we are. And we will be back with you with reaction coverage coming up on Sunday. So if you're a subscriber, you're going to get our Rapid React show on Sunday. Join us in our Discord. You can become a subscriber for less than $4 a month at discgolf.ultiworld.com/subscribe. And who knows, maybe we'll even have a little bonus check-in some way midway through the tournament. Keep an eye out for that. That is going to do it for this edition of the Upshot. For Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying enjoy the first major of the season. We'll talk to you soon.